So with that, we're going to start the presentation. My name is Sayat Badalkani. I'm managing the Epever's European office, and today I will be presenting the RV products to you. So for those of you who have been working with Epever since early days, you know that Epever started with charge controllers and was well known as a famous charge controller manufacturer for years. However, since a couple of years ago, shall we say, since 5 years ago, we have started to think about systems rather than components. So charge controller was a component for us. And we then started to develop new kinds of products, on-grid inverters, hybrid inverters, battery storage systems, inverter chargers. And as you can see now, Epever is a system player rather than a component player. We play in RV and mobile field, we play in residential fields, and we play in even high current and CNI systems. So stay tuned because our next launches will be about commercial and industrial systems as well. So the point of this slide is to bring to our attention that Epever is actually playing on a system level rather than on a component level. So in today's session, we will have chargers, inverters, RV batteries, and monitoring and control. We specifically talk about certain products. You see them on this picture. We have new inverter series. We have a new power distribution box. We have new batteries suitable for RV and new charge controllers and a DC to DC charger. So when we are talking about the name of the products, we have the TRC series as our charge controllers, ICR, and IPR and IPS as our inverter series, DUB and DUC for DC to DC chargers, and the power distribution box, and also MTS43, which is a screen for monitoring RVs. Here you can see a QR code where you can scan it and have access to our product catalog for the RV system. So we have a dedicated product catalog for RV systems. So here is the schematic diagram what can matter for an RV, right? Our RV is actually a sophisticated system in terms of the possibilities for the power and the possibilities for the communication. So actually, when it comes to the communication, the number of the protocols, the physical layers, application layers, and standards and manufacturers are quite enormous. So it makes it a little bit challenging for the industry players to provide products that are able to respond to this diversity of physical and data layers indeed, but also the application layer itself. So in an RV, you have anyway some DC loads and some AC loads, and you have your solar panels, and you want to charge your batteries with, and then you have your appliances. You want to control them, you want to power them, and you want to control them. And also there is a good source of energy in a car, a generator, an alternator, which can actually potentially charge a little battery, but is mainly now charging the starter battery of your system. And then on top of all of that, what you want control over your system, and you want monitoring, and you want, a little bit of information on what is going on in your system and in your car. So this is one of the, yeah, RV sounds simple, but when it comes to implementing that, a lot of details are involved, and this needs to be carefully catered. So let's start with the chargers. You know our legacy series, right? The GoMate series and Dual Racer. GoMate is actually a PWM charge controller designed mainly for basic lead acid battery systems. This is as I said, a legacy or old series, and this supports only a single battery charging, mainly for leisure battery system. And here we have the Dual Racer MPPT charge controller. It supports dual batteries, so a starter and the leisure battery together. And it also supports lithium and lead acid, both of them. So GoMate only lead acid, but it also supports lithium. And so overall, GoMate was or is a simple entry-level PWM solution, while the Duracell is an MPPT dual battery solution for modern RV systems. Extra NG3 series, actually, we don't call them RV specific because they have a broader series. We have now the built-in Bluetooth on it. It's a 10 to 4 amp IP33 charge controller, MPPT charge controller with almost the same functionalities as what you know from Epever charge controllers. So it's for also homeowners, small off-grid systems, and field monitoring. So not really RV specific, but can be used in RV. What we are launching specifically for RV this year, this is the first product. Excuse me. What we are launching this year as a charge controller is the TRC series, MPPT charge controller. So before going into the details of what it does, maybe we can have a look in the data sheet of this controller together, just as a glance. So it's a 30 to 50 amp, shall we say, charge controller. It supports 12 and 24, but also in some models, 48 volts DC. And its maximum open circuit voltage can be up to 150 volts. And the MPPT voltage range really depends on the battery voltage. It can be up to 108 volts with different powers and a reliable power conversion efficiency and an operating range of minus 25 to 60. So what is important for TRC series is that it is supporting the CAN, the RVC protocol, the protocol that is designated for the communication of the devices for RV series. So it is, you are familiar with the RS-485 if you use Epever on products, but the CAN is also possible with the TRC, but also the LIN or LIN communication, which is optional and can be provided on a TRC level. So RVC CI bus RS-485 friendly. There is also a no battery mode. This means that sometimes you might need to connect your batteries to, uh, you might need to connect your PV to your load directly. So no battery mode is also supported. Sometimes batteries can be also low. This enables you to power your appliances without a battery. And it supports a live PO4 and lead acid and also ultra low standby consumption. This is the naming conversion. TRC is the series. Number one here is the rated charging or discharging. If it's 5, it's 50 amp. If it's 1, is 10, and and so on. And this 2 here is the battery rated voltage. 1 for 12, 2 for 24, and 4 for 48. And of course, this one is the maximum PV open circuit voltage. 15 for 150 volts and 0.6 for 60 volts. So you can multiply it by 10. Besides the charge controller, we have the DC to DC converter. So we discussed this earlier. There is a alternator in a car system. It can act as a source of electricity for charging your leisure batteries because it is primarily designed to charge the the starter battery of the system. So we have the DUB and DEC series for DC charging. So DUB has both the solar charge controller function and DC to DC conversion function, but DUC is only the DC to DC conversion. I know these naming conventions might be confusing, and yeah, this is something that we try to avoid, but um, indeed, the variety of the products are also high. So we try to kind of make them distinct, and I hope it will be easy for you to remember. So DUB, a full PV and DC to DC system, and DUC is for DC to DC conversion. So for DUB, you can see we have MPPT plus alternator. We have yeah, yeah, different voltages and amperes available. IP68, which is yeah, making it quite suitable for a diverse set of applications, and it supports Bluetooth and RS-485 and cloud-ready communications. And DUC is DC to DC converter. So the alternator is the RV's. Let's talk a little bit about the DC to DC conversion because this might be new to some of our users. The alternator is the source of DC power, shall we say. So inside the alternator, AC power is produced because there is this rotor that rotates inside the stator, is a electromagnetic effect, and then the AC current is then generated. And once the AC current is generated, you need to rectify it. You need to convert it to a usable DC, and then the voltage regulator stabilizes the output so the vehicle electronics and batteries receive usable DC. So the important point here is that modern smart alternators do not provide a fixed voltage, right? They have a varying voltage depending on the engine conditions and the vehicle control systems and etc. And it makes it a little bit challenging for chargers. So it's not simply a DC source that you can connect to the batteries. Also, the batteries and the loads can harm the alternators. So any unit that comes in between as a charger must not only charge the battery and protect the battery, but also should be able to protect the alternator itself because it can easily go to high current mode. So in a real RV installation, DC to DC charging has several common challenges. Generally, just to cut the story short, these are all real engineering problems. The load problem, the overheating problem, and all these kind of things that a DC to DC charger is trying to solve. And the DUC series directly address each of these problems. For smart alternators, it includes generator shutdown detection logic that allows stable charging even with variable alternator voltages. This is very important, EV6 functionality. For battery charging, it uses adaptive three-state charging to protect your battery. For thermal protection, it has its rating function. And for our reloads, the DUC series also provide a dedicated regulated power supply mode. So overall, the DUC series is designed as a practical RV-focused DC charging solution. So we discussed a lot about it, and we know that the DUB series indeed does the same, but it has a PV charging function. Okay. So now a little bit about the inverters. You see our legacy inverters, shall we say, in this screen. Um, we have the iPower Plus series and the IPT series. Both series provide a pure sine wave AC output, making it suitable for RV. But the iPower Plus series is more feature-rich platform, supporting multiple DC system voltage from 12 to 48, with power ranges up to 5 kilowatt. IPT series is more focused on compact high frequency inverter design for standard RV applications. So both of them support AC output standards, 100 to 140 volts AC, and both provide 50 and 60 hertz operation. And the communication is available via RS-485. And one important point is that these are standalone inverters. And utility bypass and these kind of things is not supported with them. That's why we have a new series for RVs. But before we go into the new series, let's talk a little bit about why would we need a new series of inverters. So basically, we need to understand the actual power challenges. In an RV operations, there are two completely different scenarios. This is the first reality. So when the RV is plugged into shore power, so in this situation, applications like air conditioner, I don't know, microwave, induction cooker, and TV should directly run from AC because the shore power is available. At the same time, the battery also needs proper charging. So after off-grid use, the battery must recharge safely using a multi-stage charging process. And when the um, and when the shore power is available, both can happen simultaneously, right? So you need that functionality in your system. But you also can be in a situation that you are driving off grid and there is no shore power available. So the battery becomes the only energy source. So here the inverter must convert DC battery into clean AC output. And then the transfer speed must be nice because you don't want your appliances to go shut down or restart when this transferring has happened. And so there is a need in RV powering system for these two different scenarios. So you should be able to support the loads using the AC in. You should be able to charge your batteries, and you should be able to convert AC to DC. So that with that introduction, we go into our new series. We have the IPR and IPS series. So IPS is quite similar to iPower and iPower Plus series. It's just simply a standalone inverter, shall we say. But the IPR is the inverter plus AC bypass function. So it really depends on what you want to do in your RV system. If you want a standalone inverter, then you can go for IPS. If you want the bypass function, then you can go for IPR functionality. And this is how for the IPR, the naming convention looks like. We have the rated output power, battery rated voltage, output port types, and the COM port type. So you can actually read exactly from a model's name that what are the technical specifications of it. And this is also sometimes is a bit of challenge for our customers because they think the naming convention is quite difficult, but this also describes a little bit that why we need too much of parameters in name. So when we are looking into IPR, as you can see, it can be from 1 kilowatt, 1.5, 2, 3, and this is it. So it can be, shall we say, with a 220 volt AC or 24 volt AC and 110, depending on which location you have. So you have different naming conventions for them. And 50 and 60 hertz are also provided. A relatively good conversion efficiency for an inverter here, shall we say, and also the RS-45 CAN and LIN communication also. But we also have the ICR series. ICR is a complete system. It charges the batteries from the AC source. It is called the grid power charging. You need that. When you are when the shore power is available, you can charge your batteries easily and set yourself up for the next part of your journey. In grid AC bypass, we said you don't need to put the load on your system. You know, if you convert the AC to DC and from DC to AC again, you're losing a little bit of energy as a heat, and you don't want that at all in your system. So you can use the grid AC bypass. And it's also by itself an independent inverter with a good PFC or power factor and a good communication, making it suitable for RV applications, RVC, CI bus, and RS485 for any application that you have. And this is also the naming convention, the series itself, the output power, the battery voltage. You can see it can go up to 48 volts. And here we see the power as well. So ICR series can support both 12 and 48 series. The power range is 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt, and 5 kilowatt. And it's both suitable for US or for Europe and other regions that are using different voltage levels, shall we say. It's either 240 or 100. And the other specifications that I will skip for the sake of this presentation. So just a side note about the intelligent battery charging functions of the ICR series. So here we can see the three-stage charging progress. The first stage is bulk. Here the charger delivers full current to quickly charge the battery. Then we have the absorption. The charger holds the target voltage while charging current gradually. And then we have the float stage that maintains the battery at a full charge using a lower maintenance voltage. So the system also supports, you know, optional equalization charging. Sometimes you need it for flooded lead acid batteries, so you can also activate that. And you can see the battery types that are supported. And each battery type uses its own optimized charging profile that is set to the inverter, but you can also change it if you want. And then we have the two charging control methods, which is the voltage mode, which uses voltage threshold for charging the control. And we have the SOC mode, which is charging based on the state of the charge. Sometimes you need it to determine yourself for your batteries, depending on the charging profile of your battery. And when the AC load is very low, is a good function as well. So it's the eco mode or low consumption mode. When the AC load is low, the inverter brings itself into the standby mode, making sure that the standby current consumption is quite low. And a little bit also about the BMS communication, the battery communication. So it supports RS-45, CAN, and LAN, and this actually allows the direct communication between the inverter, charger, and the battery management system. Very important because you need to know how your battery is feeling when you are charging it using an inverter. And we also have one major advantage, which is the automatic voltage and current synchronization. So the battery BMS can automatically control charging voltage and current limits. So for example, if the battery temperature becomes too low, the charging current can automatically reduce from the battery protection. And the system also includes the BMS failure or fallback protection for that. And if the communication, for instance, with the battery is lost, the unit can either continue operating using the last set parameters or can actually stop charging based on what you want, and you can determine it in your system. And a system also includes a set of protection levels for battery over voltage, under voltage, over temperature, for inverter overload, an output short circuit, and for the system is the bypass overload, ambient over temperature, etc. So which is good protection set for the power. And in a nutshell, if you need a standalone system, you can go for IPS series. If you need the bypass function together with the inverter, you can go for IPI series. And if you need a complete all-in-one system, of course, the ICR series makes it really easy for you to have a complete all-in-one system. So we covered the chargers, we covered the new inverter series that we have, and now we are going to talk a little bit about the batteries that we have. For the RVs, the main challenge of the battery is actually space. The space is quite limited in a recreational vehicle, and it's a quite golden factor. So underseat batteries has become quite popular because you can just dump the battery on the seat and save some space for you. So that's the first point that we can start with. So here, as you can see, the height of the battery is maximum 188, which makes it suitable for many under seat spaces in your battery. So we also have the lithium A and lithium M series. A is for the ABS casing. This is what you can see here, and M is for the metal casing. We have 100 amp and 205. As you can see, the 205 series come with metal casing, and 4 series one parallel packing mode. We will have a dedicated webinar about the batteries. We will discuss a lot about the internal composition, how the batteries are packed, and what is the role of a BMS in a battery and this kind of thing. So please stay tuned for our coming webinar about the composition of the battery inside. It's a little bit out of the scope of this webinar, so I'm skipping that one at the time being. So we have the 100 and 200 amps of charging and 50 and basically 05C charging and discharging functionality, 6,000 cycles with 80% of DOD. Of course, it's very important. The the ambient temperature is very important. The battery maintenance is very important. How long you leave it without charge, and at which state of charge you left the battery on charge. These are all important factors that can affect the life cycles of your battery. It's completely a different topic. But as you can see, we have also the terminals with M8, IP65 functionality, and these are the dimensions here. So they all come with Bluetooth and heater function. Yeah, the functionality for heating and Bluetooth, as you can see here. So the LIMC and LIAG series are coming with Bluetooth, and we also have the H series that is coming with RS485 functionality as well. So it really depends on what you have as a setup in your RV system and what you want to do with it. For after the batteries, also we talked about the monitoring devices. So here I would like to introduce our new smart control panel, the MTS43, as you can see here. It's an intelligent monitoring and control platform, especially designed for RV and off-grid applications. So it combines the monitoring, configuration, system management, and everything into one compact touchscreen interface, as you can see here. So with this unit, you can centrally manage multiple power devices, such as your MPPT charge controllers, your inverters, your DC to DC chargers, your lithium batteries, if you are using the Epever ecosystem. But also at the same time, the RV Vision can control onboard equipment. You have lights in an RV, you have water pump, you have air conditioning system, you have ventilation units. So the MTS43 supports both touchscreen operation and physical operation, providing a simple user-friendly interface for use so that you can control those appliances. And in terms of connectivity, it supports RS-45, CAN, Bluetooth, and also a built-in Zigbee, which is very important. And this gives customers really the great flexibility for both wired and wireless installations. So I think another important advantage with the MTS43 is the centralized monitoring. So a user can clearly view the battery status, the charging power, inverter output, load consumption, you name it, system alarms, and everything from one display unit. So the product supports up to 16 devices in one network. We will dive deeper into it in the next slide. And this makes it really ideal for the RV energy systems. Yeah, it also supports the remote monitoring systems like Wi-Fi, 4G, and TCP communication even. And overall, this helps to create a smarter, cleverer, and more integrated energy management system in your RV system. This is the naming rule, MT43 for the screen size, and RV means, of course, the central control unit for the RVs, and P stands for multi-device monitoring unit. So this device mainly focuses on monitoring and managing devices, as I said, with the energy systems, with the Type-C port available, with the power and relay outputs. And the MTS43 cannot do it without a main device in between. So we need a middle device in between because physically we need to be able to control. Physically we need to be able to sense. Physically we need to be able to have relays and control and outputs and voltage measurements and everything. That's why we have launched the power distribution box. It's the smart power distribution unit. Is designed for central DC distribution and communication hub inside the RV system. It connects batteries, inverters, charge controllers, DC to DC chargers at the same time. And it also helps you to monitor the water tank, identify the temperature sensing, digital inputs and outputs. You need to know the engine ignition signal. You need to have digital outputs to control your devices. And this is what Power Distribution Box provides for you. So 1280, the naming is also very simple. 12 means 12 DC loads, and the 80 actually is also here, as you can see, means the total maximum current is 80 through this unit. So supporting RS-485, CAN, Bluetooth communication, and communicates directly with the central display unit, as we said. 12-volt and 24-volt systems. Both are supported. We have 8 channels of rated output of 10 amps, and we have 4 channels of protected output of 20 amps. Of course, the fuses are 15 amps and 30 amps, but the nominal current value that is set to be here as the channel output is 10 and 20, and it should not exceed more than 80. So simplifying RV wiring, centralized DC load management, much more electrically neat architecture for the RV. A little bit more about its function. As I said, 12 switchable DC load channels with fuse monitoring. The communication, it integrates ports for batteries, inverters, DC to DC chargers, tank level monitoring. You need it. You have the fresh, gray, and black water tank. Actually, you have 4 resistive water level sensors. These are quite common in the RV world. You can use to monitor, and you can use to set it for yourself. Temperature sensors, 2 NTC temperatures sensors you can connect and use. We have digital input and outputs, so 6 digital inputs and 4 dry contact outputs. So you can sense the signals, and we can actually using a dry contact output, which is a relay, which is normally open, and then gets the signal and close it. You can control your devices as well, turn them on and off. And with the digital inputs, you get more understanding of what's happening in your system, and you can get them into your monitoring system. So basically, you're collecting all the information possible from your system and showing it in your monitoring system. And we also have the system protection levels: overcurrent protection, over temperature protection, low voltage battery protection, which improves overall the safety of the system. And yeah, the input voltage range, the connectivity with CAN, RS-45, Modbus RTU, and RVC layers with the IP20 protection layer. So last but not least, briefly looking at the accessory ecosystem, the communication and data transmission, monitoring and control, and storage and expansion. At the top, we have communication and data transmission accessories. These help connect the RV system to mobile apps, remote monitoring platforms. So for example, the RTU 4G module supports wireless remote data transmission, and the BMS link actually works as a battery protocol converter for lithium battery. For some devices, you need it. Some of them, they have a built-in BMS link. For some of them, you need to get a BMS link external. Then you need to see which one is supported with your charge controller and which one is not. So Bluetooth adapters, Wi-Fi, serial servers for smartphones, and a dedicated USB-C to RS-45 communication cable. So for the data, we have monitoring and control accessories, MT11, 55, 91, 75, and 80. And these displays allow users to monitor system status, battery information, an older version of the MTS series that we introduced today. But we also have a remote switch accessory for convenient control of your inverter. You can switch it on and off, shall we say. And finally, we have the storage and inspection accessories. We have the data logging functionalities, RS-45 expansion, RJ-45 expansion, remote temperature sensors. And yeah, these accessories actually help expand the communication capability in your system. And this is the ecosystem of our accessories suitable for RV applications. You might have heard about a Solar Guardian. Epever's monitoring and configuration ecosystem. It's a system free. We have developed it, and it's actually under a complete review. So we are continuously monitoring the platform and trying to make sure that it becomes more capable, shall we say. So all in all, before that slide, actually, let's also mention this point that Epever is also providing solar panels with different powers. So if you need it for your project, you can actually refer to Epever. Of course, we are not the manufacturers of solar panels, but we had a lot of requests from our partners that having these solar panels in our portfolio will help to have a complete, all-in-one system together with Epever and Epever's ecosystem. So we are working with reliable manufacturers, and we have rigorous tests in place so that we can get reliable solar panels for your applications. So all in all, if we want to summarize what is going on here, we have the solar panels, we have charger series, we have the batteries, we have the inverter series, and all-in-one inverter charger series with bypass functions. We have some accessories, we have AC loads. Actually, we also have the DC to DC converters, which comes here with the DUB and DUC functionalities here. So I think with this set of new products, Epever sets itself as a kind of all-in-one ecosystem provider for RV requirements. And this is quite exciting milestone for us as a manufacturer, because this has been for years in our radar, and we have been working hard to launch these products that you see here. So with that, I would like to thank you for your attention for this webinar, and yeah, let's dive deeper into the questions that you might have now.